Okay, so now let's talk about efficiency. This is really, really important in eco. So we've got allocative efficiency, which is basically when the market allocates resources to suit the needs and wants of society. So actually, I won't read off these definitions. I'll just talk about them because you can read them yourself. So allocative efficiency is about maximizing society's living standards. So these are material, but these are also non-material living standards. So for example, actually I'll talk about examples later. So this is pretty much the definition of allocative efficiency. A better way to define it, I think, rather than this, is saying allocative efficiency refers to maximizing society's living standards, and then in brackets like material and non-material, allocating resources to maximize society's living standards. And something else that you can add is any other way of allocating resources results in a suboptimal resource allocation. So what that means is you've achieved allocative efficiency when you're allocating resources and you're maximizing all of society's living standards. They're the best they can possibly be. So if you switch the way that you allocate resources, you're no longer going to have allocative efficiency anymore. So it's only one point in resource allocation where everyone's living standards are maximized. So just want to point out, like, don't be too stressed if you don't understand it fully, because I'll actually talk about it in relation to the PPF or the PPC, and that will make a lot more sense. Okay, so then we have productive efficiency. So productive efficiency, that's pretty much where you are as productive as possible. Another word for productive efficiency is technical efficiency, so you might hear it being referred to that way as well. So in either way, you're minimizing inputs and maximizing outputs. So you are reducing your per unit cost of production. So that's basically like using as little resources as possible to produce as much as possible. So for example, if I'm producing computers and I'm paying one worker $100 to produce one computer a day, that's pretty much $100 per unit. So for every computer I make, it costs me $100. But if this worker goes and gets educated on how to make computers efficiently, and they're now able to make me 10 computers a day for the same price, then I'm able to produce these computers at $10 per unit. So that's pretty much lowering my input per unit of output. So that's pretty much what efficiency is all about. Dynamic efficiency. So this is quite interesting. So think of dynamic. Dynamic means things are always moving. Things are always changing. So that's pretty much what dynamic efficiency is. So it's basically how quickly can producers shift their factors of production to produce to produce goods and services that are actually in demand. So you want producers to be adaptive, you want them to adapt to the levels of demand in the economy, and you want them to shift resources. So for example, let's link this to allocative efficiency. So let's say 1 year ago, during 2020, there was extremely high demand for toilet paper, extremely high demand for masks, right? There were the two things that were super, super, super high demand. If right now, when there is no longer such high demand for those things, if producers kept producing those, people aren't really going to be satisfied. It's not really going to help anyone. So dynamic efficiency is being able to shift your factors of production into areas that are actually in demand and areas that are actually going to satisfy the needs and wants of society. And then finally, we come to intertemporal efficiency. So this is a bit of an interesting one. The first three are all about the current living standards. But intertemporal efficiency is about allocating resources so that you can also maximize the living standards of future generations as well. So it's all about sustainability. So you want to allocate resources in such a way that the living standards of the current generation can be maintained, but at the same time, we can also maximize the living standards of future generation. So the idea of this is we don't want to use all of our resources now. We don't want to waste anything. We want to make sure that there is still stuff left over so that in the future, people are still enjoying a good quality of life.